Vardaan 1. The Ultimate Boon. Written by Mr. Deepak Sadia. Chapter 4. Not woman, not man, just nothing. Taking 4 pairs of clothes, Krishna Chandra reached a deserted region after traveling for 3 days. Here the forest was spread far and wide. He rested for a while and started planning. Don't know how long it would take. Whenever that thought came to his mind, the faces of mother, father, Kumari, Rukmini and Keshava Kumara came in front of his eyes. On such occasions, Krishna Chandra started looking at the trail in front. It did not just happen once, it happened every moment when he tried to plan things. When Krishna Chandra failed to plan even after a few hours, he forced himself. First of all, Krishna Chandra went to that part of the forest where there was no pathway around. He closed his eyes for some time. Later, when he opened his eyes, he did not see anything. At first he relaxed because he achieved his primary goal. But within a few minutes, his plan failed miserably as he started crying because of not getting the pathway. The thing from which Krishna Chandra was running away, and after a while he started missing the same thing. Krishna Chandra's restlessness started increasing, and he started searching for a pathway in the forest like a madman. His crying also increased and his fear also increased. After a long time he sat down exhausted. He had thought that he would find a way by keeping his mind calm, but when his mind calmed down, he remembered his primary goal again. How stupid I am. I am crying because I can't find a pathway, whereas I aim to make my eyes and my mind stop looking for a way back. Krishna Chandra scolded himself angrily. Krishna Chandra started telling himself some mythological stories to increase his morale. It was beneficial, but not much. His eyes and legs were desperate to walk. Within no time, Krishna Chandra realized that as long as his eyes were open, he would keep on searching for a way out. In such a situation, he used another trick. Krishna Chandra collected some big leaves and forest vines. He tied big leaves to his eyes to the extent he was unable to see a ray of sunlight. After that, he tied his feet with forest vines so hard that he could not move an inch. At last, he took a few deep breaths and tied his hands with forest vines. Leaving his body loose and counting down, Krishna Chandra again took 3 deep breaths. At a specific moment, he twisted himself and gave a blow. From that moment, he was unable to free himself even if he wanted to. Krishna Chandra was ready to remain in such condition till leaves as well as vines dried automatically. In such a condition, sometimes Krishna Chandra cried at his helplessness, and sometimes he was pleased to understand that he would not be able to return home. Krishna Chandra remained in that state for 2 days. During that he kept telling himself, "Once this work is done, I will be with my loved ones forever." Lying like a lifeless tree in the forest land, Krishna Chandra had nothing to do, so his mind began to remind him of all the events of his life in a sequential manner. Those memories were not mere memories, as they included an excessive amount of detail. So those were very effective memories. Because of them, sometimes Krishna Chandra used to laugh a lot and sometimes used to cry a lot. When the weak body would fall asleep laughing, and when it would wake up crying, Krishna Chandra could not know anything. His eyes were closed, so he did not even know when it was morning and when it was night. The most painful moments would be when Krishna Chandra would get itchy. His hands and feet were tied, so he could not scratch even if he wanted to. Like a snake, he tried to scratch by moving their body from right to left. Sometimes the effort was successful, sometimes his helplessness continued till he fainted. On the 4th day, Krishna Chandra's body started demanding water on an immediate basis. He started crawling to find a forest hole filled with rainwater. Merely after 2 hours, he found the hole filled with rainwater. That temporary blind man started drinking water like an animal. Just after that, Krishna Chandra found another problem. The leaves tied to Krishna Chandra's eyes started falling off dryly. The falling leaves were giving him a lot of trouble. He endured that like a professional. 5 days later, the vines were dried up and Krishna Chandra set himself free. Krishna Chandra's health had deteriorated. The lack of food and water made him very weak. But he was more than happy that his purpose had been accomplished. I am thinking about everyone, but my eyes are not finding the path to home, Krishna Chandra said happily. Krishna Chandra managed to convince himself in a total of 9 days that he had to finish his new work on an urgent basis. With a very weak body, Krishna Chandra somehow found the waterfall. He got a lot of energy after drinking fresh water. Then he found the root of the tuber, and found some familiar herbs. During that, Krishna Chandra saw almost the whole forest. His sharp mind remembered everything. Where can food be found, where water, where wood, and where herbs? He saw that there were enough resources in the forest. Now he chose a place to stay. Krishna Chandra built a hut there and started living there. From clay, Krishna Chandra made sculptures of his loved ones and created his little world in the forest itself. In that world, some unwanted guests also started coming in the form of wild animals. Many times he had saved his life by hiding, and many times by running away. Every time a simple thought comes to Krishna Chandra's mind, what if they found me a few days earlier when I was tied as well as much weaker? On one hand, that thought would have made Krishna Chandra shudder. On the other hand, it would have forced him to thank God. Although Krishna Chandra had also practiced warfare during his Gurukul days, yet not utilized the art of killing in the forest, because he was not in favor of violence. At least not in that jungle. Not at all on sinless animals. Krishna Chandra realized that the animals were not in his house, but he was in the animals' house. Krishna Chandra built a strong fence around his hut. Krishna Chandra collected combustible material from the forest and put it in place in the enclosure. He was confused about whether his idea would work or not. One night the king of the jungle himself came and cleared his doubts. On hearing the lion, he quickly lit a fire near the fence, and the lion immediately ran away. Within a few days, Krishna Chandra had everything a civilized man needed. So he thought, now I can start doing the work for which I have come this far. Krishna Chandra started meditating. Within a few days, Krishna Chandra was seeing the scene of his life when the monk checked his horoscope. Surprisingly, the prophecy of the monk turned out to be correct. The difference was only a little. According to the position of the planets, Krishna Chandra would get the greatest goal of his life. The prophecy was right. The difference was between the persons. The monk's guru was a sage while Krishna Chandra was a teacher. So unlike the goal of the monk's guru, Krishna Chandra's greatest goal was to become the greatest acharya, not the greatest renunciatory person. Krishna Chandra understood the fact that he wanted to share his knowledge with many people. He was born to be acharya. Krishna Chandra thanked Savamanika again because the boy's suspicions turned out to be surprisingly his ultimate truth. That day Krishna Chandra laughed a lot. He was surprised at how people can take out the meaning of anything according to their convenience. He also saw the complete truth of the words of Savamanika. Savamanika was right. What people are calling knowledge was just ignorance. True knowledge was yet to be discovered. Based on that idea, Krishna Chandra started his research. Krishna Chandra started evaluating all the social values, systems, customs, beliefs, and superstitions. He decided that during those evaluations he would be neither male nor female, neither young nor old. Krishna Chandra will not even consider himself to be wise. For those evaluations, he completely emptied his container of knowledge. He will be a mere human being. A person who knows nothing and is completely unbiased can find out the facts without taking anyone's side. Krishna Chandra firmly believed that only by this method I can attain pure knowledge. Krishna Chandra also kept his likes and dislikes away because he was afraid that he might even take his side. In that case, that knowledge will become impure. Krishna Chandra devoted himself completely to the scientific method, so that whatever drops of knowledge will be collected should be for the good of all. It should neither benefit men nor women of any age. It should neither harm women nor men of any generation. In that way, the former young Acharya started his campaign and went on growing. During that, many small and big questions started coming to Krishna Chandra's mind. Some questions were relevant to other questions. So he stopped researching further and decided to write questions in a proper format. Krishna Chandra chose special woods. After burning those woods, he got special coal. He made ink from that coal. He also made a wooden pen. He went to the special trees for their leaves. Those leaves had two unique qualities. First, they were quite bigger as compared to other leaves. Secondly, those leaves were hard to tear out when they were dried. Krishna Chandra wrote down every important as well as normal question that came to his mind. After a few weeks, that moment arrived when he had written down every question that came to his mind. No new question is coming. I guess it's the time to start looking for the answers, Krishna Chandra said to himself. Krishna Chandra found the answer to every question through the scientific method. When the results came out, he also did many experiments, because the truthfulness of the results can be ascertained only through the experimental method. Krishna Chandra would go out of the forest to nearby villages as well as the city. He verified his results through people of all ages and genders. When a particular result remained the same in every experiment, only then did that result get the name of fact. Unlike Krishna Chandra, his society was using different rules and regulations for different people. Thus the facts of society were not facts in a true manner. It was Krishna Chandra who discovered the true facts. The sun, the wind, the fire, the water, the sky, the mountain, the river, the forest, and even food items. Everything made by nature behaves the same with people of each caste, age, and gender. Then why do man-made rules and regulations behave differently with different people? It was the central thought of Krishna Chandra's research. So Krishna Chandra's facts remained the same for everyone in each condition. He kept researching the particular subject until he got the universal truth. Whenever Krishna Chandra was satisfied in every manner, only then would write the fact with complete detail on the leaves, calling it a universal truth. He put all leaves of similar subjects in one list and others in different lists. When his search on a particular subject was completed, he would sew all those leaves. In that way, he got his books. Proceeding systematically, he wrote one book after another on every possible subject. Every word was written as he felt without being biased. According to Krishna Chandra, it was 100% pure knowledge. Krishna Chandra also understood why Savamanika took seclusion only for a few hours. Seclusion is a very difficult task. Seclusion was not easy, but Krishna Chandra had organized himself in every way. During his studies, he used to take time to go to a beautiful place by the river. Beautiful flowers were in bloom at this place. Keeping the idol of Kumari Rukmini next to him, he used to talk to her, asked about her condition, and told her his situation. Krishna Chandra talked about his study and asked questions on behalf of Kumari Rukmini, discussed the fragrance of flowers, and talked about the beauty of the river. Sometimes he blushed and called her beautiful. There were also some days when Krishna Chandra got fed up and thought of running away. Krishna Chandra had chosen a place to live where there was no way out. However, due to the constant movement, trails appeared in the deep forest. One of those trails led to the city. That pathway distracted him a lot. In such a situation, Krishna Chandra looked at his leaves in which questions were written. Without taking their answers, it would be like spoiling all the hard work done so far. Krishna Chandra said to himself. Krishna Chandra fully dedicated himself to those questions. Those nights seemed long and harsh, but the new dawn made everything correct. Handling himself in that way, in just 6 months Krishna Chandra wrote extensively on 10 subjects. 2 of these 10 books were also on Mother Nature and God. Krishna Chandra was completely unaware that these 2 books were going to start a revolution in the future. The future was not so far. One morning Krishna Chandra got up. Having dealt with the defecation, scrubbing teeth, etc., He started looking at the leaves with questions in turn. He was not getting any questions. Where did the questions go? Did any leaf fly away? Thinking so, Krishna Chandra started looking around his hut. Krishna Chandra would definitely found the leaf if it had been lost. The young Acharya was unaware that all his questions were over. It was afternoon, but he had not done any work that day. Krishna Chandra started looking at his questions and their answers with the hope that he would recall a few lost questions. Seeing them, 4 days passed. On the 5th evening, Krishna Chandra came to know that none of his leaves were lost. His questions were complete. On realizing that, Krishna Chandra laughed at himself. At night, Krishna Chandra was sitting near the fire. Yes, it is enough. I have found answers to almost all my questions. These books, full of universal truths, will make a man truly aware. For now I should return to the land of work, because questions will keep coming to mind throughout life. On the strength of my true knowledge and pure intention, I will be able to find answers to those questions. Krishna Chandra said to himself, peeping into the fire with infinite peace and majestic eyes. When morning came, Krishna Chandra found himself sad. That day Krishna Chandra was leaving his world forever. The world he had created. He did not like that place, as it was keeping him away from his loved ones. But that place had given him a lot. Krishna Chandra picked up the sculptures made by him and threw them into the water of the river. For some time he sat near the flowers. For some time he stayed at the wooden place. He took farewell from the trees and plants, whose fruits as well as root vegetables kept him alive so far. Finally, Krishna Chandra returned to his hut. Even if Krishna Chandra didn't want to, he could not stop himself from crying. Without stopping much, he ran away without wiping away his tears. After going a long way, he took a look back. Remembering everyone, he bowed down. Thank you so much, Krishna Chandra said and went towards the city. After walking for 2 days, Krishna Chandra reached the road that would lead him to his village. For 2 days he had gotten used to the people and the world. Forgetting the forest, he started his journey toward his village. The faces of Mother Father, Kumari Rukmini, Keshava Kumar etc. were roaming in front of Krishna Chandra's eyes. He had a beautiful smile on his face. Whenever Savamanika's face came to his consciousness, then his hands came in the posture of obeisance. After 2 years of exile, Krishna Chandra kept walking, unaware that his Shisha had found a new Acharya.